What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Real Talks with Jacob, where I interview doers, achievers, and go-getters and how they created their own luck and became successful. And today we are here with AMARANATHO ROBEY from Netherlands. AMARANATHO is a mindfulness-based coach who helps executives and entrepreneurs to stay calm in very complex situations so they can make right decisions. Now, Ama's story is quite unique. Why? Because he was a Buddhist monk for 15 years, including being completely alone for 3 months in Australia during his silent retreat. And now, with his company Playful Monks, he combines professional skills with the wisdom he acquired during his 15-year-long monk journey. So if you're an executive or entrepreneur, you should keep listening because we're gonna tell you what you should be doing to stay on the top of your game, no matter how stressful, exhausting, or confusing your day is. So welcome to show, AMARANATHO.
Yeah, thank you, Jacob. Yeah, it's lovely to be here.
It's gonna be so cool because your story is quite unique. Honestly, I've never talked to somebody who was a Buddhist, who was a monk for that long time. So I want to hear everything about your journey. How did it start and when did it start? So please, if you could introduce yourself a little, that'd be amazing.
Yeah, so I guess in my life, I've done everything backwards in a way. So I started off actually very successful. I was a computer technical support manager at a very young age and had success, traveled all around the world, went to CeBIT, which is the Industrial Computer Exhibition, at a very young age. And then I ended up going to university studying AI. And through that, I realized I wanted to travel more. So I ended up, I hitchhiked around the world. And one of those experiences was that I thought I ought to do meditation. You know, like everybody has a sort of bucket list. And one of those things was, let's do meditation. So actually, I was in Perth in Australia. And I was trying to find a job. And I come across this job in the advert. And I just walked into this company with my rucksack on my back and my shorts on. And they were looking for people to knock on doors. It was a charity. And so anyway, I got the job, and they said that it was for telephone sales. And they said, no, don't do telephone sales, do the door knocking. So I ended up doing this door knocking. And I needed somewhere to stay because I wanted to save money. So actually, I snuck back in the evening, and I slept on the floor.
Where?
In the offices.
In the office?
In the office. Yeah. I slept underneath the table. And of course, somebody caught me a week in. And they said, why don't you come and stay at my house? They were very kind to me. And in that person's house, there was this very thin book in their bookshelf, very small, about meditation. And I read it and I said, this is amazing. I want to do this. And the guy said to me, well, this is what we do as a charity. We help mothers that were drug addicts use meditation to come off their drug addiction. And you can join a course as well. You don't need to be a drug addict, but you can join the course. So actually he arranged that for me. And so I ended up doing this 10-day, it was actually a very hardcore meditation retreat. It was 10 hours a day, no walking, no talking, complete silence, no reading, no nothing. And during that course, people, it was really tough for a lot of people, but I was laughing all the time. And people kept coming up to me and saying, are you okay? Because you seem to be very happy. I said, well, I found what I've been looking for. This is what I want to do.
Okay.
And so it sort of propelled me. It propelled me into a very ethical life. I immediately started living a very ethical life. Even though I was traveling, I started meditating even whilst I was traveling. And this compulsion to become a monk arose. I would say in English, we use the word calling. It's grabs you. So that's what happened. It called me, and I became a monk. When I returned to England after my travels, I basically, after a few years of fluffing around, it took me some time to really consolidate the idea, but I couldn't get away from it. I arrived in a monastery in England, near Heathrow Airport, and out in the forest, and I said, I want to become a monk. And that was it. It wasn't like I wasn't debating the point. I wasn't saying to them, you know, I'm not sure. I said, I want to become a monk. And within about a year, because you go through a sort of novice program, I was a monk. and I lived in a monastery in England for 10 years.
Okay.
And then 5 years after that, and then for the last 5 years, I created my own brand and traveled around the world, and actually went back to Australia, would you believe it, to Perth.
That's so interesting. So your monk journey actually started with a silence retreat, right?
Yes, it did.
Oh, I actually thought that it's more later in a like while
No.
you're already a monk.
No, I've used silence a lot in my life, and even when I was traveling, you know, when you hitchhike around, you're in silence a lot of the time. You're waiting at the side of the road. You're waiting for a lift, and so actually, even before I'd meditated, I'd actually had maybe I traveled for nearly 4 years, so I'd had a lot of time to be on my own and be silent and be in remote areas in dangerous situations and goodness knows what else. And actually, I was sort of like learning to meditate. I didn't know what it was, but actually I was learning to listen to myself. And even though there was a lot of doubts and, you know, concerns and worries and fears and fantastic events and amazing scenery and all the rest of it, I was actually learning to listen to myself. And it was a very good preparation, because most people would be like, if I said to you right now, tomorrow you're going to go into a 10-day retreat, you're not going to talk, you probably go, oh, yeah. But
well, that'd be a challenge.
Yeah, exactly. But when I turned up to that meditation retreat, I had none of that. I didn't have that type of fear. I had a fear of, I'm not sure what's going to go on. Of course, anybody would. I mean, that's natural. But the idea of having 10 days in silence was, well, you know, if you hitchhike and you get stuck somewhere, you might be there for 3 or 4 days.
So after this retreat, what was like the number one thing you found out, or in
which one? The first one?
Yes.
The first one was actually, it was that you're not who you think you are.
Can you expand on that a little bit, please?
Yes. We think we're a solid thing. We're an identity. We're a personality. We're fixed. You know, so at that time, I am a hitchhiker. I'm a backpacker. I'm English. I'm, you know, whatever it is. I'm traveling around Australia and whatever. Yeah. But when you really look into the mind and you start to investigate that, you start to see, well, that's actually not the case. Right. I'm not English right now. I'm not a hitchhiker. Actually, I was a meditator. And then when I left the meditation center, I was back to being a hitchhiker. And so it started to make me think about how I was holding on to my beliefs, my fears, my worries, my joys. All of these different experiences were happening, but I noticed that there was change with them. And that gave me an amazing sense of peace. Even then, it gave me an amazing sense of peace. I mean, it's been refined and challenged and molded over the years, of course, but even that first experience, and within Buddhism there's this thing, and there's even a book written about it called Beginner's Mind. You know, famous in a way, you know, start with beginner's mind, but that's the truth. There's a really big truth in it. You know, that first experience of beginner's mind, then I was a beginner, I didn't know nothing really about formal meditation then, but it's the same now. Just before the call, I sat downstairs in my house and I just sat in my rocking chair for a few minutes. Right there it is again. Beginner's mind, right? Start again, you know. And before that, yeah, sure, I was just surfing on Facebook. I'm not going to hide it. Why should I hide it? Right. Yeah, and I saw what I was doing, right? You know, this is a podcast. Yeah, the mind can get a little bit nervous. It doesn't know what to expect. It's another new experience, right? Wants to get distracted. And then you catch yourself. You know, the training of mindfulness is to catch yourself, to observe. So I observe myself and think, so why do I need to do this? You've done podcasts before. You've done talks before. You've talked to hundreds of people, you know. And yet still there's this feeling. So then I stopped all that. I put my phone down, just sit in the chair, just for a few minutes. And there it is again.
So is it almost that you are watching yourself from the third perspective?
Yes, that's right. Exactly. It's called in cognitive science, it's called metacognition. The ability to step back and observe and witness. And of course, you can learn to do this. It's not the end of the story at all, but it's a very important part of the story. Your ability to step back and witness and to see life unfolding in front of you,
Mm-hmm.
right? It doesn't mean nihilistic, right? It doesn't mean that your life is blunt or dull.
Yes.
Actually, it improves your life incredibly. Like when we just started the conversation, and I was just saying, as we logged on, the sun came through. There's this sort of recognition, that the observer mind. You just, oh wow, and there's happiness that comes, and I noticed the happiness, and now the sun's gone,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I noticed that, and I'm sitting by a very big window over a large water, and then I look out the window now, and there's a grey, and the mind goes, oh, I don't like grey. I want the sun back, right? But I can watch that happening just as much as I'm present with you, and listening to what you're asking in the question. But this ability to observe is such a powerful gift. It's a superpower.
Yeah, I read a book right now by Deepak Chopra, Metahuman.
Yes.
And it's quite similar to what you're saying about these identities.
Yes.
That we basically decide at some point in our lives that we are something or we are not something.
Yes.
Right? So when you were on silent retreat, you actually found out that, did you find out that you can be pretty much anyone you want?
I think that's a different question.
Like that you can
I understand that. That's a different question though. The first one is understanding who you are, right? And the second one is to choose how you might mold that experience. So one is a destruction and one is a construction, and they require slightly different tools. Okay. Right. And the construction says, well, I can be anything. I was reading a post on LinkedIn today about another coach that was talking to her niece. And her niece says, I can do anything I want. And actually, that's not quite true, right? Because life is full of failures and things don't quite go according to plan. And if you look at the growth mindset, right, that's an antidote for self-esteem. Praising children is not a good thing to do, right? Because it sets you up for you can't deal with failure. Right? So what you want is a growth mindset, which sets you up for expansion and dealing with failure, right? So first thing is to notice how you're constructed, and then the second one is to work out what skills and things you need to do in order to sort of rewire yourself. And there'll be a certain things that you can do, right? So for example, I'm never going to be a virtuoso violin player. There's just no way. Right, I don't have that type of musical quality in my system. I could be a pretty good one, right? If I chose to do 8 hours a day, with a really good teacher and somebody that would resonate with me, I'm sure within, I don't know, 3 or 4 years, I'd be at a pretty good level, right? Is it something I want to do? No, it doesn't resonate with me, but I could do it. I could trust myself to know that that's a possibility. Like, I give you maybe another sort of example of this is from my travels. So when I traveled around Indonesia. In Indonesia, you don't need to hitchhike for Westerners. We're lucky because of the exchange rate. So in Indonesia, they have a lot of landslides on the roads. Yeah, so water comes down the hill. They have these roads around mountains, landslides. Right. So you get to Indonesia, and then they say, you get on one of the roads, and they say, at the bus station, they say, you can't go up that road. It's closed, right? And it's mudslide and whatever. So in the beginning, I used to say, oh, yeah, that's true, and I have to go around. And then I thought, well, this is just another thought. This is just another idea. Maybe it's true or maybe it's not. So what I did was I would take the little tuk-tuk thing, the little bus, up to the mudslide, and then if it was a smallish mudslide, you'd just see people walk across the mudslide, and there'd be another tuk-tuk on the other side. Right? And then you just carry on, right? So this is my little metaphor for life. You've got to go up to the mudslide, investigate it for yourself and see, is it like 10 foot high and you just can't get across it? Or is it just, somebody just climbs across it? I saw it again when I was in Nepal as well, another, similar type of experience where I saw 2 buses where they were up to their wheels in water was at the wheel level. We're crossing a small river. And this guy, old man gets out the bus with his big stick, walks across the river and says, I can do it, the bus can do it. So the bus driver gets in. But I wasn't stupid either. On that occasion, I wasn't stupid. Because when I looked outside in the river, actually the trucks were on their side, right? They'd fallen over, and the bus driver said, "Go inside," and I said, "No, I'm going on top." Right. So you have to have wisdom with these moves. What are you constructing? What do you actually want to construct in your life? This is important for executive. When you're coaching executives.
So do you take these lessons into your executive coaching as well?
Yeah, of course.
Deconstruction and reconstruction.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a really important part of my work, right? Because if you want to be, sorry, go on.
So how does it usually work when you start working with executives? So what is the first step?
Yes, of course. Everybody wants the first step because that's how we are set up, and that's how it's been sort of explored or talked about. But I don't have a first step, right? So my approaching is called Eclectic Coaching. It's developed and sort of defined by a Professor David Clutterbrook. Right. And eclectic coaching is that you're at a level of coaching where you don't need a framework, that you can be with a situation and you can trust in what emerges out of the conversation. So this is not woolly, right? This is, you can do that in a woolly way, and just fumble your way along, right? As well. That's one way, but this one is if you have enough experience and enough skills and self-awareness, then you can do it in this way. I do have a framework that an approach, because people want to know, when I was in the monastery, I ran these family camps. They were very big. They had 100 people, 10 facilitators. And I was like the co-leader of that.
Okay.
And people used to ask me, how did you create such amazing community? And how were you able to work with teenagers and parents and all of this type of stuff? And then I had to work out a framework, right? So I did in the end. Yeah, so my approach is the Playful Monk approach is explore, play, love to start with. So an exploration, like we've been just exploring for the last, whatever it is, 10, 15 minutes. Yeah. And then the second one is to make it playful. Yeah. So the playful is like not just a little child's thing. Play is very important. And maybe we'll talk about that later on. And then love, you need kindness. And then through explore, play, love, you can start to recognize presence. Through presence, you'll develop connection. And connection is what you need as an executive leader. You have to stay connected. So it's how do you stay calm and connected in complex situations? That's my approach. But would you say I do that in each session? No. But the people that I work with know that my approach is playful, right? My brand, Playful Monk, how can it not be in a way? And so they're always trying to think through that lens. How would it make this more? How could I make this more playful? And I mean, they got serious jobs and serious commitments to people and organizations, but the inner attitude.
So why do you think this playfulness is important when it comes to coaching executives? Because they're, as you said, they have serious jobs.
They do, right? Yeah. And there's this, in the agile world, there's this thing called serious play. I don't mind it, but I just think play is play. So if you look at the research, around play, it is the quickest way to learn. Very simply, it's the quickest way to learn. If you make something playful, you'll learn very quickly. And all the research says this. There's tons of it. If you look at my post just on yesterday on LinkedIn, a fantastic post about playfulness and children. If you want to develop the next leadership or the next people that really want to grow this world as a parent, teach your children and allow them to do free play.
So how do you play with executives?
Yes, exactly. How do you play with executives? So the thing is to make the experience itself playful. So play means being with a body, right? I mean, I know it sounds a little bit obvious. I mean, how would you have play without? You can have mental play, right? But I'm talking about play is with your body. So the more that you become embodied, the more that you develop an attitude of play. And so you have to help. I don't know about your own experience, right? But, a lot of us didn't have free play as a child. We had toys, we had board games, right? but this is free play, and that's what I offered in the family camp. I offered free play. The kids could do whatever they wanted. So I ran teenage sessions, for example, and that, you know, they would say, I want to make a video. So I'd organize the practicalities around it of getting them a video, but then they would have to come up with it. They'd have to do that, right? So the same thing with my coaching, right? So a client wants to develop, say, like the agile way of working. At the moment, I'm working with somebody that wants his organization to move more towards agile, right?
Okay.
Yeah. And so what can he do, himself, that would be more playful around the people that he's working with? So I said, why don't you just walk around your office and just say hello to people? I know it sounds so obvious. I know, if you think it's not rocket science.
Hello to people, you said?
Yeah, just hello. How are you? How's your day?
Okay.
Yeah, it's so simple, right? You know, but there can be a joyfulness and a jovial attitude towards that, right? Where it's not about your KPIs or this or that or the other. It's just about, how are you? Yeah, how are you?
So the leader becomes more connected with the employee, right?
Yeah. See, I didn't say that. You said that. So it's interesting, isn't it? You see, we start speaking about that. You come up with the insight. Isn't that interesting?
Well, it is.
Yeah, it is. And that's what happens when you start making things more jovial, more kind. People are able to make their own decisions, you know, and the coach can sort of support that and enhance that and grow it.
Okay. In one of your articles on LinkedIn, I quote, "For me, true leadership is being present in the moment, connected, compassionate, insightful, setting boundaries, empowering, discerning, and ethical."
Yes.
End of quote.
Yes.
What do you think is the biggest issue or challenge of the leaders you currently work with?
Dealing with complexity.
Dealing with complexity.
Yes. It's a really rapidly changing, complex situation. You know, you're in digital transformation, you know, you see how much is required on so many different levels to make this work. And if you don't have what I would use the agile mindset, or, you know, a flexible, adaptable mindset, you're really in a difficult position, because you're fixed in the way that you see the world. And so leadership requires this radical change, you know, and you know, and I feel sorry for leaders in a way, right? Because there's so much noise out there at the moment, you know, do it this way or do it the other way, or, you know, this coach, that coach, the other coach, you know, that it must be very difficult for them to choose, what do I do? Do you know what, you know, should I do this or should I do this? This one is saying this one is saying that, this research says this, science says that. And it's complex, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? It's complex.
Do you see usually older or younger people deal with
it doesn't really matter anymore, because you know for yourself as well, startups, you know, well, you've got a computer, you've got the internet, you're a startup, right? You can do that at 19, 20, you know. But and depending on your emotional intelligence and your resilience is how quickly you can actually scale. And if you scale too fast, like I've been with startups that have scaled really, you know, ginormous, lots of money and things, that's a huge amount to deal with, you know, and working out your own capacity to, you know, having the emotional resilience to be able to deal with that is a lot, you know. But,
so let's give a specific example. Let's say that I raised, I don't know, $10 million. It's my first A round in my life, and I need to hire more people. I need to show numbers to investors and so on. And I need to learn so many new things. Pretty much everything I do is completely new for me. I'm overwhelmed. And now I find you on LinkedIn. I reach out to you and I say, hey, this is my issue. I need help. What is happening next?
So the first thing that really would happen, and a kind of totally bizarre, and you might think it a bit weird, but I'd ask you to have a rest.
I cannot have a rest. I have a company to run. I just
Yes,
raised
that's
$10
right. I
million.
know. Yes, I know that. And already you just used your rest time in worrying about the future. So you
So
could have
how
actually chosen rest then, you see.
right. How does the rest look for somebody who is
Yes.
that
So
busy?
actually what it looks like is in small steps, very small steps, because they are very busy. So I have worked with somebody in that sort of situation you just said,
Okay.
and it's very small steps, right? But after a while, those small steps become quite big steps. And then within maybe a year or something like that, they tell me they're doing the same meetings, but they're nowhere near as tired. In fact, their capacity is probably doubled.
So is
Right?
it that I rest for, I don't know, a minute during the day and then for 10 minutes or?
No, you keep learning how to rest, right? And mindfulness is a very important part of that. Being self-aware is a very important part of it. And then learning the skills that go with it. So the emotional resilience skills, the understanding about stress, and this, there's a lot of other science that I use in order to orientate. But if uh, um, you can't do that as a busy executive. It's just not possible. So you have to just do it at a very slow rate. But because usually the people I work with are very intelligent and very fast thinking, that's because that's where they are. Then actually they can absorb it. And then your job as a coach is to be able to make sure that you do that at the right pace.
Okay. Does the meditation play a big role during this?
I don't work without it, and
Okay.
yeah, so I wouldn't work with anybody that wouldn't want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
If there's no interest in that, then I'm not the right coach. There's probably other people out there that might work in different ways, but for me, it would be it wouldn't work for me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So more actionable advice. If somebody, let's say, they hear from every side on the internet that like they should meditate and they should take care of their mental health.
Yeah.
What is the best way to start meditating, and when, if I'm busy, should I do it in
Yeah.
the morning or in the evening, or is it really
Yeah,
up
so
to me?
again, you see, everybody wants a prescription, and so you can buy the book that will say the best thing is in the morning if you get up at 4:30, and then the other one will tell you if you get up at 6 and then read the journal, and the other one will say, well, actually, it's better in the evening when the kids have gone to bed. The other one will say it's at lunchtime.
I see.
But one of the things I really learned at the monastery was the abbot used to say to me, trust yourself, Amaranatho.
Okay.
Yeah, so you have to learn to trust yourself.
Mm-hmm. So
there is no best way, right? The thing is the encouragement to start to do something. Just start however you can. Yeah, if it's in the morning, it's fine, and if it's in the evening, it's fine. You have to find out what really works for you.
Mm-hmm. And you as a coach will help me to figure it out, right?
Yes, because we're in a relationship, and partly because I've tried it all times of the day. Because as a monk you get up at 4:30 in the morning, and I do know in the morning it is, if you do get up at 4:30, it is a beautiful time of the day. I mean, it really is very quiet and silent.
Why is it better than 5:30?
Because at 5:30 people start going to work, and at 4:30 people don't. If you go out your door at 5:30 and you start walking around, you'll see the start of life. Yeah, people will just, those people that just have to get that work a little bit earlier, they'll be on the 5:30 to 6 o'clock train. But at 4:30 there's this just very, very little start of the day, and
Okay.
it's very, very peaceful. And so it's a lot easier. There's a lot less noise going around, right? But you don't really need to go to such extremes. All you need to do is just to have the ability to rest in the day when you can, being aware of your breath, because all the meditations, usually the basic one is start with your breathing, yeah, and then ability to be able to reflect and inquire, to actually reflect on, well, what's going on now.
Let's talk about play.
Yes.
Because I had Jordan Gross on podcast a couple
Yes,
episodes back, and he's all about playfulness. He
yes,
loves the topic. So I want to hear your 2 cents on this. Uh, so we were talking about that as a kids.
yes,
We loved to play, and there was like our source of joy, right? But
yes,
as adults, we sort of lose it.
yes,
This playfulness, and because it's almost like childlike, and childlike doesn't have a like really positive connotation,
yes.
right? So how do I start feeling that same joy as I had when I was playing as a kid?
So there's two approaches to that. One is if you've got the gift of a family, right? If you started a family and you have a baby,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, you've got a fantastic example in front of you, right?
Okay.
You just look at the baby and the baby goes ooh ah and grabs his toes and starts counting. I mean, it's kind of simple, isn't it? Like, I mean, so, and if you haven't got a baby, go and look at somebody else's.
That sounds creepy. Go look
It
at
does
somebody else's baby.
it does sound creepy, because that's how creepy our society has moved away from that.
Yeah.
In order to see play or be around other children, like somehow you're a bad person,
Mm-hmm.
right? So if you can't, if that feels too awkward, sitting in a shopping center or something like that, and or going to the supermarket and just watch how kids are, they don't care.
They don't. Yeah.
They don't care. I mean, I'm lucky in the neighborhood where I live. Children are still on the street. In where I come from in London, that wasn't possible anymore because of
Okay.
that. Yeah, here it's children still play on the street in the Netherlands. So you just walk along and they're just having fun. Hi, mate, how are you? In Dutch. Can I help you cut your tree? Or I've just been down to the lake and I pulled something out. Wow. And then I look at what he's got, and that's interesting. What's that? I don't speak enough Dutch to even know what he's saying, but it doesn't matter. Play is play, isn't it? I mean, you don't need language, you just need to look. It's so simple. You see, look what's happening to you. We talk about play, yeah, and you start smiling. Right? So, and for adults, if you really want to, you can do improv, you can do dancing, you can do singing, but the thing is, or drawing, even drawing's another lovely, thing to do. Just get some pens. And when was the last time you scribbled? Like yesterday, I put on my LinkedIn post, I was talking about playing, and I just said, why don't you, when you're on a call to somebody, why don't you just scribble?
Mm-hmm.
Why not? Is there any rules against that? No, there's not. Are you being still mindful? Yes, you are. You're still
Can play be sort of like that rest time I need as
That's
an
it. There you
executive?
go. Exactly. You can do that. So, so executives are always traveling between meetings, so you can either go on Twitter and do your Facebook and all of that stuff, or you could not. It's a choice, isn't it?
It is.
Right. There you go. So you might want to just look out the window. You might just want to look at the street. You might just want to look at the beauty. So I was part of an interfaith project in England. And it was called All Faiths and None. And I traveled all around England teaching teachers how to run dialogue with young people. And I work with young people. And one of the things I suggested is that they just focus on awe. Yeah. So if you just look out the window, like I'm looking out the window now, and it's the sun is nearly coming out, the trees are blowing in the wind, and it's just, isn't that amazing? I mean, like, we actually don't really know the whole story about even just that simple little scene. We don't know the science of it even. We got a good idea, but we don't know totally how it's all working.
So it's,
and if you have that mindset, everything is new. Like, this is completely new set. In the moment, here it is. You're present.
It's all about being present and actually seeing that something is happening, right?
That's it. There you go.
Yeah, I was listening to a podcast, and there was a quite interesting tip that whenever you're eating something, just think about how many people actually needed to do something in order to you having the food on the table right now.
Yeah, every day as a monk, I did that. That was part of my practice. Every meal, that's what you did. So you eat out of a bowl, and I was from a tradition where you beg for your food, but you have this begging bowl. You go up to the servery where the food is, and or you go on the street begging, depends. Some days I did that. All the food goes in the bowl, doesn't matter what it is. Yeah, cakes, ice cream, the whole lot, can be put in the bowl. And then you look at the bowl and you reflect on that. So that's also, it's also a way I think about. That's how I've done so many years of that. That's how I operate. Gratitude. I always think how amazing it is. I'm at the supermarket, and I'm getting some food here, or I'm at the market, or going to the organic shop, or whatever it is. How amazing it is. How amazing it is. There's a carrot for me.
That's amazing. Yeah.
It is amazing.
Let's talk about gratitude, because for me,
yes,
doing these gratitude exercises each morning, it was life-changing. Honestly, because when people are negative, it's basically their choice, right? They're choosing to focus on what's bad or what's missing, right?
Yes.
But they don't stop for just a few minutes, and they don't think about what do they actually like about their life, or what is amazing about I don't know, the sky or the window, right? Or about they can see, right? Because not everybody can see. So how do you develop this gratitude mindset so you start actually achieving this amazing feelings of feeling grateful?
So you have to slow down. So it still comes down to rest.
Right.
So it's not that these people, are not able to do it. It's not as black or white as that, right? It's just, the thing is if you've never been given the opportunity, or somebody's never pointed it out to you, that's all it is. So, how can we also set examples of that in our business, right? The lead, the executive. So I'm when I was saying about going around the office, I'm also saying around gratitude, right? Because you can say thank you to somebody. So first of all, you're doing gratitude for yourself, but then you're encouraging somebody else also to think about the way that they might choose to relate to their emotions, right? That's, as the leader, you're an influencer. You're an influencer, and that's a very important thing to take charge of, right? And to know that you have that gift. You can take it or give it. So you can take it away from people and make their lives hell, or you can give it to people and empower them, right? So that's an important as an executive. In your own life, it's about really just like learning anything. You just start somewhere, and then you fail and you forget, and then you start again, right? So when you're sitting in these meditation retreats, sometimes the mind wanders off, doesn't it? So you can either say, oh, I'm a really, it's terrible, I'm a bad meditator, I'm never going to get this. Or you can just say, so what? There's no failure in meditation. You can't fail. How can you fail? You can't. Right. So the thing is to be kind to yourself. That's why people don't like, or people have strong views about using the word love in business.
Okay.
Yeah, because people can't use that word. But love is so important. You have to be kind to yourself in this process.
And once you're kind to yourself, you are capable of being kind to others, right?
Exactly. And if you can't be kind to yourself, then do it to other people and learn how to do it. So you can't.
It can be just saying thank you, right? Or hello.
Thank you is such a powerful thing what I did a training. I've done all sorts of different trainings, and I did this training called Source Process Breathwork. And the teacher there, Binny Dansby, she always said, you have to give an appreciation of something specific, right? Now that's a reflective tool. You have to actually think about, not just like, thank you, Bob, right? Say, oh, well, thank you for opening the door this morning. That was so nice.
That's so different.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for the report that you did. I noticed those 2 words of da 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 was just right for me. You see,
so it's not generic, right?
Generic doesn't work because people know that their BS detectors go up very high. We're tired of all that. As human beings now, we want authenticity. We're really tired of all the other stuff. So it's much better to say, I can't feel gratitude. I feel off today. I'm fed up, and than to try and crank it out and be insincere with it, right? But there's a difference between actually, I'm gonna do one thing for gratitude for somebody else because it's going to help me. That's different. But the insincere gratitude, people pick up on this. And if you work with teenagers is a gift to work with because they're fantastic bullshit detectors, right? They will not put up with nonsense, right? So you have to be very aware when you work with teenagers that if you go into that thing, you'll be going nowhere. And very soon the class, the room or the workshop, whatever it will be a complete mess. But if you're honest, I ran a workshop in Malaysia with about, not a workshop, a retreat, a 5-day retreat for kids, for teenagers, right? There was about 50 of them. And I said to them, I need to start at 8 o'clock. I can't remember what the reason was, for some reason. And they called me 8 o'clock in the evening. I need to start the retreat at 8 o'clock in the evening. And then they said, and then they came in and it was 7 o'clock and they said, they're all ready and you've got to go in. And I was absolutely furious, right? I was very angry, right? So I went into the room and I said, you know what? I've just been told I have to start now and I'm really angry. And I need to just say that and everything is okay. Right? We started the retreat. It went very well. Right? If I'd have gone in there angry, there would have probably been an absolute mess and not told them that because it's dishonest. So learning how to express your emotions, that's through nonviolent communication by Marshall Rosenberg, which I've done a lot of training in. Yeah, is a really super way of being able to share in an authentic way who you are and your feelings and your needs. Right? His approach.
The sharing itself probably won't be very comfortable for you. Even if the feelings are not pleasant, right? That I'm angry that we need to start now, but at the end of the day, it helps everybody.
Thank you.
Shared it.
Yes, thank you. It helps everybody, and that is this ability to have this metacognition, to be aware of who you are, and not to invest in that way. If you invest in authenticity, you're asking for a lot of trouble in the end, because you have to keep generating that image. There was that brilliant film, The Invention of a Lie, I think it was. It's amazing. Everybody's telling the truth, and then suddenly the guy, and it works in a sort of reverse way. He was making parody of it, but it's that same thing, So trying to be genuine and honest, in whatever way you can. Like, we're not setting levels here. I'm not saying you've got to just do whatever you do. Just try something and see how it works. It doesn't have to be big. But right. I'm guarantee you, as a parent, you'll have a much easier life. As an executive, you'll have a much more connected workforce. You'll have a much more connected life.
All right, let's talk a little bit more about your coaching business, because we discussed that you don't actually have a niche, right? Or you don't have it like laser focused. So I wonder, who are usually people you work with, and how do you find them, or how do they find you?
Yes. So that's a really good question. So again, in this way of like letting things unfold and emerge, I gave a talk about a couple of years ago in like a co-working space, and they made a fantastic video of me giving a talk. And I was so impressed by the video, I went and I said to the people, who's made this video, because it's fantastic. And the guy said, oh, this person here. And I went and had a conversation with him. I said, so what can you do for me? He says, well, I can make you a video, a promotional video. And he said, it'll have no call to action. It'll just be about your life story. And I was saying, that's fantastic. So over the next like month, I put together the material, or designed the words, and then he put it all together, and actually shot it in a few hours. It was actually very easy to put together. And what that did was it gave me a way of just introducing myself. So what I do is actually I share my video with people, and then I just say, this is who I am and this is what I do. And if you're interested, we can chat.
That's how we met.
Yes, exactly. And see what it's brought. And so that's what's happened. Really, that's how I do it. And then, of course, my clients also refer me as well, and then if I feel that, there's somebody that I resonate with, or some situation I resonate with, that I send out my video. But most people are interested. Sorry, I didn't totally answer the question. Most people are interested in my monk background, right? They're interested in that I've committed to, to that type, and the skills that the skills that I bring. You know, like, you know, if you can stay in 3 months in silence, that's an extreme form of resilience, right? To deal with whatever comes up, the mind goes a bit wild and crazy, and, you know, all of those types of things, you really learn to look after yourself, right? And then if you marry that with the research and the neuroscience about how the body works, which also you do need, in terms of understanding trauma and stress and all the rest of it, it's really powerful. And so, you know, I can you know, I've changed my life so many times in extreme forms, you know, from, you know, successful at a young age to, you know, traveler to university, now to executive coach. So I know about change. You know, I came to Holland. I mean, I moved back to England after I left Australia as a monk. I came to Holland with nothing, you know, and what did I do? I learned that, you know, I didn't really know how to network. I didn't understand about business. I didn't understand about VAT, tax, anything.
And even the language, right?
And even the language, I didn't. Luckily, in the Netherlands, a lot of people speak English. Yes, otherwise I would have really been in trouble. But but that's how I've worked for some really big people, just through that, you know.
Yeah. What I really like about the video approach is, as I said, as you said, there is no call to action, and people who actually reach out to you, they're reaching out to you because they're interested in you as a person.
That's right.
Right. And in order to do business with someone, you actually need first like this person, right?
Exactly. I mean, how can you go to a coach if you don't like them? It's not possible. Yeah. Coaching is all about the person, you know. And so it took me also some time to refine what I was doing. I made a lot of mistakes in the beginning. I had a brand in the beginning. It was called Mindfulness Out of the Box, which I sort of still use. It's my legal name in the Netherlands, right? But it didn't really work for me. The person that invented my previous brand, PlayfulMonk, we had a little brainstorm, and it was good at the time. It sort of worked, and I can move on in it. Mindfulness out of the box. It's true. That's what I offer, not just mindfulness and creativity. Yes. But I couldn't quite get my teeth into it. Do you know what I mean? It didn't really offer all of the parts. And then as I was going around the Netherlands, and I started speaking, like doing here, people say, you know, I say PlayfulMonk, and they say, so why aren't you using that brand? And I was, well, I can't do that. I'm not a monk anymore. Right. And then I just heard it so many times, I was sort of sick of it myself. I was thinking, so why can't I do this? Right. And then I thought, well, I can. So I will, you know, deconstruction, construction. Right. So what did it need? It needed to move away from me being the playful monk, which I'm not anymore. I could be when I was a monk, to the playful monk approach. Very simple. It's only one word, but that's the construction. So now I offer the Playful Monk approach: explore, play, love, which develops the recognition of presence and connection. Right? Well, of course I can do that. And as soon as I did that, of course, then I'm bringing all of my skills. Play, which we've spoken a lot about, and the monk part. The monk part is about the contemplative skills. And if you look at, I think it's the World Economic Forum, the top 20 things you need, you know, for the next. They're all contemplative skills: creativity, innovation, you know, and dealing with complexity.
Something that cannot be automated easily, right? By AI.
It's impossible. You look at the guy that owns, or that did own Alibaba. You know, Jackie. Is it Jackie Chan? I can't think. And Jackie. Oh, Ma.
Short guy.
Short guy.
Funny looking, but amazing entrepreneur. Yeah,
that's it. And you know, he's very clear that you know, you can do a lot of things with automation, but these things you really can't, because they're very fundamental human skills. And if you say AI to me, I'll just laugh, because I've got a degree in AI and I studied it really well. And there's no way we're anywhere near that, because it's not AI. We will be moving towards artificial life. Right, that's a separate conversation. But AI is nowhere near as clever as we think it is. It does amazing stuff, based, you know, and there's some really fantastic things that are coming out of it. But if you look at the research about what AI projects are really around, you'll see that most of them are not AI. If you look at the other companies that investigate AI projects, actually they're not AI. They might be knowledge based. So the idea of working with complexity is really a sort of human phenomena. It can be assisted by technology. There's fantastic things that technology can do to assist that, definitely, right? but not take over.
Got it.
So dealing with complexity is what you work out as a monk. You learn how to do that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because you have to be with complexity. You need to be with everything.
I really like how you combined these three aspects together into two words in your brand.
Yeah. It wasn't easy. You know, I've really worked a lot with that. I consciously spent time. You know, like I've actually the last few days again, I'm going through another iteration of what I'm doing and what I'm offering, and I just I have to switch off my laptop and say, okay, today is going to be lazy day.
Okay.
Right? No emails, no LinkedIn, no social media, no worrying about the future, nothing, none of that stuff. I just have my day and I can do what I want. And then all of a sudden I start looking at things, and it's not that I don't use other people's skills either. There's some really wonderful, other people have got it much cleverer in the way that they develop things like marketing, for example. You know, they know, you know, so they've worked out something, and then you think, well, okay, so I can use this, that, and the other, and you see how it goes. I mean, it's ridiculous telling other people what to do if you don't do it yourself.
That's right. Yeah, I hate consultants and coaches who do that.
Right. Yeah. And so the best thing to do is to do the things that you've done. You know, that's how you can walk people. I'm a guide. I can walk with people because I've been there, you know.
Yes.
And that's it. That's all, you know. And the things that I don't know, I say I don't know. That doesn't make me any less of a coach.
I mean, that's a part of being authentic, right?
Yes, of course it is.
So how do usually your coaching sessions work? Is it one-on-one or is it group coaching?
It can be both. Yeah, it can be both. But with executive coaching, usually it's one-on-one because of the amount of things that might need to be shared.
Yes.
So at the manager level, it can be group coaching. Yeah, and at the executive level, it's usually one-to-one. And I work with people usually through the internet, Zoom, Skype, and then for those that are in the Netherlands or Europe or whatever, then I can also work one-to-one. It's usually helpful to have met the person once. So with some of my clients, I might say, well, we do 3 or 4 sessions on the internet and then I go and meet them.
Okay.
Or yeah, it just depends. But I'm also running workshops as well, and yeah.
How long is your program?
So again, you see, this is the same thing as the other questions. How long is it and what do you do? So I don't have any of that either. Nor do I have packages or anything like that. I just keep life really simple. The thing is just to work out, well, what do you need now, right? So there's no point in working with people less than a few months. You can't do it. It's just impossible. I've tried and it's always a mess, right? So the thing is just to be realistic, right? My realistic thing is if we work with each other, get to know each other for a month, you know, in some shape or form, whatever it is, 1 week, every other week, I don't know, we work it out, you know, or even shorter, then you can see what happens from that. And then you have to work out what people's needs are, you know, and then things change also in the executive's life. Sometimes they go up another level, and then, you know, to explore that. And sometimes it's to say, well, actually, we finished now. And time to get to do it yourself. You know, it's not to keep people in an endless trap, but you do it by agreement.
Right. Whew. That's a really unusual approach, I gotta tell, because usually what I see when I talk to consultants and coaches, they have they're really clear when it comes to their process framework. This is gonna happen in week 1, week 2, week 3. But I mean, coaching for you, it almost comes as a second nature, right? Because you just do it the way you feel that's best. Is it correct?
Yes, that sounds slightly egotistical in a way, and I don't want it to come across in that way, because it sounds like, oh, I know everything about everything, and so, you know, like, but it isn't. If we can just imagine, you know, we're guide, and you know, like I've been up that mountain, and I know I wouldn't go up that path.
Yes.
But maybe today it might be all right, the weather, you know. You want to go up the path? Yeah, I want to go and have an expo. Okay, let's go up the path. Okay, we'll have a look. But I wouldn't go any further. I wouldn't go any further than that, though, because you know there's quite a lot of rocks tumbling down like that.
This is almost like an agile approach to coaching.
It is an agile approach. And actually that, yeah, exactly. I would say, you know, and that's why I also consider myself an agile mindset coach, right? And, you know, and that's just sort of frustration for me in a way, because, you know, within I don't have enough agile experience actually because I've been a monk for 15 years, but actually the agile approach is just so normal to me. It's just my way of being, you know. So it is that way, and also it is to respect, you know, that the amount of work that I've done, you know, and I'm not showing off with that or whatever, or saying any other approach or is not helpful. It's not. You have to find out what you need at any time. And I also recommend that my clients go and do other things as well, because I don't expect that just coaching is enough. Sometimes your body's not well and you need to go and see a doctor, or, you know, whatever it is, you need to find your back isn't straight, or I don't know, whatever it is, you know, you need to go and see somebody else. So I wouldn't want to hold to that. So I just see myself more like that, you know. I'm a guide, and in terms of like mindfulness and that, you know, that I know inside out. Yeah, there's no doubt. I'm an expert on that. But mindfulness in an interpersonal way.
Got it. All right, AMARANATHO. Tell me, I know that you don't like these recipes and
it doesn't matter. Go on, squeeze it out of me.
What is the one thing I can do, let's say today or next week, or I can apply basically to my life to handle complex situations at least a little bit better than I handle them now?
Sure. I would learn to breathe. That is the breath has such a powerful effect on the mind. Yeah. And if you learn to breathe, which allows you not through your mouth, but through your nose, and you really allow yourself to breathe in the belly. Maybe we can just do a bit in a minute after this.
Let's do it, yeah.
Explore. Yeah. If you can really learn to breathe, then that will have a powerful effect on how much blood you get to your brain and how easy it is to come out of emotions. And that's the start of the process. It's a start of a process of being able to deal with complexity.
So just breathe, let's say, I don't know how long in the morning.
Yeah. So, well, I don't know that you didn't stop breathing. When did you stop breathing in the morning?
That's a good question.
It's a good question, isn't it? You see, like, again, you see. So let's not talk about it. Let's just do it.
All right.
We just do it for 1 minute. So you don't need to, I mean, I would suggest that you close your eyes if that's all right. And if you bring your attention towards your body, and just notice how you're breathing. Right, so you're going to notice how you're breathing. You can put your hand on your belly if you want. So you can notice your breath in your belly. And you can just notice how your jaw is, whether it's tight or relaxed. It doesn't need to be any particular way. You're just receiving how your body is. And just notice how your shoulders are, whether they're up by your ears or whether they want to come down towards the ground. And then you can just notice your breath in your belly. And you can relax your eyes. And if there's thoughts coming and going, which there probably is, don't worry about it. Who cares? Doesn't matter. This is not about being the perfect meditator or trying to achieve some state of peace or bliss or any of these other things. It's just breathing in and breathing out. And then just notice the way your feet might be touching the floor. And just allow yourself to welcome this experience. Right? It doesn't need to be any other way than this. That's all it is, just this moment, breathing in and breathing out. Not asking you to breathe in some special pattern or whatever. It's just, this is how you're breathing right now. And then see what it'd be like to even soften just a little bit more into that. As if you're sitting back on a nice sofa, you know, big couch, and oh, it's so nice to sit here and breathe. There's just really nothing else to do right now. Can you let yourself just have that well-being right now?
That's incredible.
Right. So do you see? I think that took.
I mean, I don't know how long it was, but it felt really relaxing. I mean, my feet got almost like heavier a little bit.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, and once you said that, just allow yourself to have this experience right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's powerful. So, yeah, guys, if you're listening to this, I encourage you to just scroll it back a little bit and try it yourself. Just whatever you're doing right now, just try it.
So it's in the knowing where change happens.
Mm-hmm.
It's in the knowing where change happens. It's not a list. It's not a set of processes. It can be, but it's in the knowing of it. I can't be in the room with you right now. I can't manipulate you in that way. All I can do is just say A, B, C.
Yes.
Do I have a script here? No. Right. So you know, depending on where you are, you know, I gave a talk about on another podcast about facilitation, you know, because I'm a facilitator as well. And you know, in the early days of facilitation, you want structure, right? So when I'm saying about, oh, you know, I just do it like this, it's because I've had a long time of structure as well. I've spent a lot of time using structure and doing things in an ABC approach.
Yes.
Right. But you don't need to get hooked up on that idea. So yes, it is good to spend each day at some time to be aware of your breathing. Yeah. And as you learn to trust yourself in what you need to do, and a person walking beside you can just say, well, maybe not, or do this or do that or do the other.
Thank you.
Oh, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. You're the one that did the work, isn't it?
Well, no, I think you shared you shared so much knowledge. I mean, we both did the work, right?
Yes, that's right. We both did the work. That's it.
Yeah, thanks a lot for coming to the show.
Jacob.
And last question: where can people find you? Where can they follow you, and why they should reach out to you?
Yes, so they can reach out to me on LinkedIn under AMARANATHO, and they can find me on my website www.playfulmonk.net.
All right.
Yeah.
Amazing, guys. I will share the links in the podcast description or under the YouTube video if you're watching this on YouTube. And guys, if we brought you some value, please just take a screenshot of the app you're listening this podcast on, or just share the link with your friends. Put the screenshot into your stories or on your Facebook, whatever platform you use. Don't be selfish and let other people to learn from Playful Monk's wisdom as well. All right, that's it for today, guys, and till next time.
Thank you, Jacob. Thank you.